Today I'd like to read you chapter 2 from Think and Grow Rich. The chapter is titled Desire, the starting point of all achievement, the first step towards riches. When Edward C. Barnes climbed down from the freight train in Orange, New Jersey more than 50 years ago, he may have resembled a tramp, but his thoughts were those of a king. As he made his way from the railroad tracks to Thomas A. Edison's office, his mind was at work. He saw himself standing in Edison's presence. He heard himself asking Mr. Edison for an opportunity to carry out the one consuming obsession of his life, a burning desire to become the business associate of the great inventor. Um, so even though outward appearances might not always um, be manifested yet, we can have something we want. We have a goal that we've thought up, and in this case, on the way to Mr. Edison's place, Mr. Barnes was thinking about that, and he's playing through what was going to happen, almost like playing, a movie, but it was up here in his mind. Barnes' desire was not a hope, it was not a wish, it was a keen, pulsating desire which transcended everything else. It was definite. A year later, Edward C. Barnes again stood before Edison in the same office where he first met the inventor. This time, his desire had been translated into reality. He was in business with Edison. The dominating dream of his life had become a reality. Barnes succeeded because he chose a definite goal, placed all his energy, all his power, all his effort, everything back of that goal. So it's important to distinguish, something that you have a burning desire for versus something that, is wishy-washy. You hope or wish that it would happen, but maybe you're not passionate enough about it, so you're not really thinking about it all the time, and you're not taking all the actions to push towards it. And that's why a lot of personal development talks about goals and talks about passion, because if you don't set your mind to something that you want, and you're not very passionate about it, if you're not driven and disciplined to go after it, it's not gonna happen. Or if it does, it'll happen by chance, not might not be the way you would have hoped. The Man Who Burned Bridges. 5 years passed before the chance he had been seeking made its appearance. To everyone except himself, he appeared only another cog in the Edison business wheel, but in his own mind he was a partner of Edison every minute of the time, from the very day they first went to work there. It is a remarkable illustration of the power of a definite desire. And the reason that is because, if it was just a simple goal, someone might get discouraged, or not even a simple goal, but if it was a hope, and it took 5 or 10 years to get there, and you weren't seeing any progress, and, other people from the outside looking in, not seeing any progress either, um, people might, you know, negatively talk to you like, oh, why are you doing this? Be, it's been however long and you're not getting the results. Well, you have to believe in it. And a later chapter in Think and Grow Rich actually talks about faith. You have to have the faith in your burning desire. Barnes won his goal because he wanted to be a business associate of Mr. Edison more than he wanted anything else. And, wanting it more than anything else is, another piece of it. If you want to lose weight, but you also enjoy dessert, well, it's hard to lose weight if, you eat a piece of cake, for your afternoon snack and have, a large ice cream for dessert. Like it's hard to do something if you're doing other things that are conflicting with what you really want. So you have to be willing to sacrifice some things and really make, your burning desire, first and foremost. And, it has to be the most important thing. It has to be the thing you want the most. He created a plan by which to attain that purpose, but he burned all bridges behind him. He stood by his desire until it became the dominating obsession of his life, and finally a fact. When he went to Orange, he did not say to himself, I will try to induce Edison to give me a job of some sort. He said, I will see Edison and put him on notice that I have come to go into business with him. Again, because it's a burning desire, you have to think in a certain way to make it happen. It can't just be half-assed thinking that like, oh yeah, if I'm lucky, this will happen for me, or oh, I want this, but the opportunity has to fall in my lap. No, you have to have confidence in it happening. You have to have that belief backing, the burning desire. He did not say, I will keep my eyes open for another opportunity in case I fail to get what I want in the Edison organization. He said, there is but one thing in the world I am determined to have, and that is a business association with Thomas A. Edison. I will burn all bridges behind me and take my entire future on my ability to get what I want. He left himself no possible way of retreat. He had to win or perish. That is all there is to the Barnes story of success. The spur that drives to riches. A long while ago, a great warrior faced a situation which made it necessary for him to make a decision which ensured his success on the battlefield. He was about to send his armies against a powerful foe, whose men outnumbered his own. He loaded his soldiers into boats, sailed to the enemy's country, unloaded soldiers and equipment, then gave the order to burn the ships that had carried them. Addressing his men before the first battle, he said, you see the boats going up in smoke. That means that we cannot leave these shores alive unless we win. We now have no choice. We win or we perish. They won. Every person who wins in any undertaking must be willing to burn the ships and cut all sources of retreat. Only by doing so can we be sure of the maintaining that state of mind known as a burning desire to win, essential to success. Um, so, you have to go into it with a winning mindset. You can't just show up and halfway through be like, well, I need a win. You have to, kind of psych yourself up going into it. And, it helps when you're in the middle of going after your burning desire, your goal. Um, it helps to keep reminding yourself, but you have to go into it, believing you're going to win too. The morning after the Great Chicago Fire, a group of merchants stood on State Street looking at the smoking remains of what had been their stores. They went into a conference to decide if they would try to rebuild or leave Chicago and start over in a more promising section of the country. They reached a decision, all except the one, to leave Chicago. The merchant who decided to stay and rebuild pointed a finger at the remains of his store and said, "Gentlemen, on that very spot I will build the world's greatest store, no matter how many times it may burn down." That was a century ago. The store was built. It stands there today, a towering monument to the power of that state of mind known as a burning desire. The easiest thing for Marshall Field to have done would have been exactly what his fellow merchants did. When the going was hard and the future looked dismal, they pulled up and went where the going seemed easier. And that's what most people want to do nowadays, is just do things that are easy. But it takes hard work over time to get what you want. Mark well this difference between Marshall Field and the other merchants, because it is the same difference which distinguishes practically all who succeed from those who fail. Every human being who reaches the age of understanding of the purpose of money wishes for it. Wishing will not bring riches, but desiring riches with a state of mind that becomes an obsession, then planning definite ways and means to acquire riches, and backing those plans with persistence which does not recognize failure, will bring riches. 6 ways to turn desire into gold. The method by which desire for riches can be transmuted into its financial equivalent consists of 6 definite practical steps. First, fix in your mind the exact amount of money you desire. It is not sufficient merely to say, "I want plenty of money." Be definite as to the amount. There is a psychological reason for definiteness which will be described in a subsequent chapter. Second, determine exactly what you intend to give in return for the money you desire. There is no such reality as something for nothing. Third, establish a definite date when you intend to possess the money. Fourth, create a definite plan for carrying out your desire, and begin at once, whether you are ready or not, to put this plan into action. Fifth, Write out a clear, concise statement of the amount of money you intend to acquire. Name the time limit for its acquisition. State what you intend to give in return for the money, and describe clearly the plan through which you intend to accumulate. So basically, step 5 is writing down step 1 through 4. 6. Read your written statement out loud twice daily, once just before retiring at night, and once after arising in the morning. As you read, see and feel and believe yourself already in possession of the money. So if you want to hear those 6 steps again, I actually have a video about that, which I will leave a link to that below. It is important that you follow the instructions described in the 6 steps. It is especially important that you observe and follow the instructions in the 6th paragraph. You may complain that it is impossible for you to see yourself in possession of money before you actually have it. Here is where burning desire will come to your aid. If you truly desire money so keenly that you desire it as an obsession, you will have no difficulty convincing yourself that you will acquire it. The object is to want money and become so determined to have it that you convince yourself you will have it. Can you imagine yourself a millionaire? To the uninitiated who has not become schooled in working principles of human mind, these instructions may appear impractical. It may be helpful to all who fail to recognize soundness of the 6 steps to know that the information they convey was received from Andrew Carnegie, who began as an ordinary laborer in the steel mills, but managed, despite his humble beginning, to make these principles yield his fortune of considerably more than $100 million. It may be of further help to know that the 6 steps here recommended were carefully scrutinized by the late Thomas A. Edison, who placed his stamp of approval upon them as being not only the steps essential for the accomplishment of money, but the attainment of any goal. The steps call for no hard labor. They call for no sacrifice. They do not require one to become ridiculous or credulous. To apply them calls for no great amount of education, but the successful application of these 6 steps does call for sufficient imagination to enable one to see and understand the accumulation of money cannot be left to chance, good fortune, and luck. One must realize that all who have accumulated great fortunes first did a certain amount of dreaming, hoping, wishing, desiring, and planning before they acquired money. You may as well know right here that you can never have riches in great quantities unless you can work yourself into a white heat of desire for money and actually believe you will possess it. The power of great dreams. We who are in the race for riches should be encouraged to know that this changed world in which we live is demanding new ideas, new ways of doing things, new leaders, new inventions, new methods of teaching, new methods of marketing, new books, new literature, new features for television, new ideas for moving pictures. Back of all this demand for new and better things there is one quality which one must possess to win. That is definiteness of purpose, the knowledge of what we want, and a burning desire to process it. And this book was published back in the 1930s, I believe, so it was back before, um, you know, computers in the home and, you know, the internet, and before cell phones. Um, so, you know, even though progress was starting to speed up, um, you know, we hadn't reached the technology age that we're currently in, where everything was, you know, at your fingertips. Um, so if you were able to, you know, become successful back in the, you know, early to mid 1900s using, you know, this book and, you know, the principles it teaches, just think of what you could accomplish now in, you know, an even more fast-paced world where, you know, everything seems instant. You know, you might need to put in work over time to like start seeing the results, but you might see those results faster than you would have, you know, in the 1900s, maybe, you know, early 1900s. We who desire to accumulate riches should remember the real leaders of the world always have been men who harnessed and put into practical use the intangible, unseen forces of unborn opportunity, and have converted those forces or impulses of thought into skyscrapers, cities, factories, airplanes, automobiles, and every form of convenience that makes life more pleasant. Um, so it's kind of dancing around the idea of pulling um, ideas for inventions and other things from out there in the universe, pulling it into our conscious mind, and then creating, you know, the different things. You know, at the time of the book being published, no one knew what a cell phone was. You know, they had home phones that were, you know, on a wall or desk, and everything was wired in, and, you know, you couldn't, you know, be out for a walk and make a phone call. That was, you know, unthinkable at the time, but just, you know, by creative thought, you know, new things are being created every day. In planning to acquire your share of the riches, let no one influence you to scorn the dreamer. To win the big stakes in this changed world, you must catch the spirit of the great pioneers of the past, whose dreams have given to civilization all that it has of value, the spirit which serves as the lifeblood of our own country, your opportunity and mine to develop and market our talents. If the thing you wish to do is right and you believe in it, go ahead and do it. Put your dream across and never mind what they say. If you meet with temporary defeat, for they perhaps do not know that every Failure brings with it the seed of an equivalent success. Thomas Edison dreamed of a lamp that could be operated by electricity, began where he stood to put his dream into action, and despite more than 10,000 failures, he stood by that dream until he made it physical reality. Practical dreamers do not quit. Um, so obviously the example of the incandescent light bulb, regardless of how many attempts it is, um, here we just read 10,000. I've heard, 1,000. I've heard 10,000. I've heard varying numbers, but the moral of the story was, don't let the temporary setback hold you back from pursuing your dream. You're using it as a learning experience and saying, okay, well, this particular way didn't work, so what can we learn from that, and how can we apply it to what we try next to, maybe get closer to having a light bulb that stays lit. Um, what Llewellyn dreamed of a chain of cigar stores, transformed his dream into action, and now the United Cigar Stores occupy some of the best corners in America. The Wright brothers dreamed of a machine that would fly through the air. No one may see evidence all over the world that they dreamed soundly. Marconi dreamed of a system for harnessing the intangible forces of the ether. Evidence that he did not dream in vain may be found in every radio and television set in the world. It may interest you to know that Marconi's friends had him taken into custody and examined in a psychopathic hospital when he announced he had discovered a principle through which he could send messages through the air without the aid of wires or other direct means of communication. The dreamers of today fare better. The world is filled with an abundance of opportunity which the dreamers of the past never knew. So I'm going to stop halfway through that chapter, give or take, just because, there's a lot to unpack for this book, so I don't want to, deprive you guys by trying to rush through each of the chapters. So keep checking back every so often, and I'll be reading more from Think and Grow Rich, and there's a couple other books I'm trying to read from. And if you like this video, leave a comment down below to tell me what you think, or let me know if there's anything else you would like me to read from or talk about. If you like the video and the content, give it a thumbs up so I can know to keep doing more videos like it. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't. And have a good day.